Clicky talk.
I don't know if we're actually live or not
Are we?
yet.
Are we live?
I think we're live.
You're live?
We're live.
I mean, are we
Live.
alive? Are we live right now?
I am not alive. I am
I'm
mostly
not alive.
dead.
Mostly dead. Alive.
Mostly
well, I mean,
dead.
it kind of goes on with I know we're live because now we have 0 people watching us, so I know we're live now.
Absolutely.
That's normally when I know that we're on the air when nobody's listening, so I know that we're being consistent every single week.
At least we're consistent.
That's right. But I am enjoying this series. I have never seen The Dark Knight this different before. I mean, you think about it. It's like there's a couple of things. For one, I'm really confused about, how does Bruce Wayne changes his voice British and then English? That makes no sense. What?
Wait.
Well, I had one more.
I think we've got some confusion there.
Oh no, like Ra's al Ghul. I mean, it looks like Ethan Hawke. I mean, I don't understand that part. And then wearing a white outfit, I don't know if like the Dark Knight is doing something a little different. So I mean, it's a great idea having the Dark Knight wear a white outfit, but it's
it's called Moon Knight.
Now that would be a great character for a comic book there.
Dark Knight.
The Moon Knight, that would be great. I mean, for a comic book series. So I hope they come out with that because I would watch that.
I think. Tell you what.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday, I promise you.
Yes.
It will be Moon Knight.
It will be Moon Knight. Okay, good deal.
Yeah. It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Silly.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. That'll make a great comic book. Think about it. I mean, guy.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway,
stop it.
Yes,
stop it.
Well, but it was pretty cool, wasn't it? There's a lot of add-ons on that show. I find it. Anyway, we'll get into that later. But I just was a really, really, really good show the other night.
Really,
so
really good
yeah. So some really odd things, and we're kind of do some nerdy happenings here. So before we get into our Moon Knight, is it Dark Knight?
Moon
Knight. I know. This man been on the news a lot, hasn't he? Mr. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk has indeed been on the cusp of the news.
Yes.
Quite a bit lately.
I
have been following this.
I have too.
Experiment.
I mean, pretty much that's really all you need to say is Elon Musk and the story is gone. But it all started. I've been following it, and it started off where he did a poll because he wanted the edit button to come back on Twitter. So he did a poll, and a lot of people say, yeah. And I like the idea of the edit because sometimes I'll make a mistake and I want to go back in and all that good stuff. So I don't mind that.
And right now, the only way to fix it is to completely delete it and repost it.
So I don't have no problem with that. But then he said, but then last Monday, he did a 9.2 stake in Twitter. And I guess he revealed through regulatory filings. He tweeted the poll. It's interesting. He took stake. He ended up buying 9.2% of stock. Then he comes back around and he says, I'm going to join the Twitter's board of directors.
Yes.
Then he decides he's not going to do it, but he's going to turn around and decide he's going to bid to buy the company for $43 billion.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And of course the board basically says no, which I don't know how you can.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how they do that, but
hey man, this is super awkward right now.
Yeah.
Somebody just knocked on my door.
Somebody knocked on your door.
And there's no one here to go check it except me.
I usually forget. Most of the time, even people I know, I usually don't answer it. But yeah, go ahead. You want to go check it? I'm
going to check it real quick.
Ricky's going to go check it.
nerdy news.
Oh yeah, love that. Let's go ahead and do that. So anyway, I don't know if you folks heard about this, but Warner Brothers in Discovery is reportedly they're overhauling the entire DC universe. Basically, there could be some significant changes when it comes to DC entertainment, considering Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and all of that. So I'm a little curious what's going to happen there. They just recently did a merge between the two companies. So that's going to be interesting on streaming too, like on HBO Max and the Discovery Channel. Is that how that's going to cross over at one another? But David I think it's Zaslav, he's a CEO, and he's talking about the combined company, and he's talking about how Warner Brothers hasn't really tapped into the DC universe. He talked about how, for instance, he thought the DC library isn't being used to its full potential. He said, while the success of DCEU has been touch and go in the film department, he says it's seeing a significant gain with like Peacemaker and the anticipated Penguin series starring Colin Farrell. He was saying another series revolving around Gotham City Police Department is currently in development, although we know that we've heard there'd be more a focus of Arkham Asylum, which I'm a little disappointed about because I was hoping it to be kind of I'm a big Gotham fan, so I was kind of hoping it would be kind of the Matt Reed of Gotham Police Department. I would have liked that. So anyway, do you think DC Entertainment requires an overhaul or not? If you're listening, put your comments on there. I don't really know. I kind of concerned that maybe they don't. Hey, Ricky.
Hey, sorry about that.
What happened? Was it one of our viewers came by or
one of my neighbors, and he wasn't going to go away.
He wasn't going to go away.
He was just going to keep knocking.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Everything's fine. But
everything. That's good. That's good.
Sorry about that.
No, I was going to say real quick. I'm just going to go over briefly because you might know this or not, but Warner Brothers and the Discovery Channel has collided. They're one now. I don't know if you heard about that. How about that? As I told the audience that Zaslav is talking about really redoing the entire DC entertainment industry. He says there's a lot of characters that has not been touched. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that. There was one thing in here that one insider suggested that Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru and more eager to hire someone who had the type of business background they needed to keep all the different factions at DC working more harmoniously, which is that's the problem, right? I mean, we're just
they need a central head.
Yeah. So anyway, it was all in Variety. Also, too, one of the questions I had is, does DC Comics, does the entertainment, do they require an overhaul or not? I don't know.
I don't know. An overhaul? I don't know that it needs an overhaul. I think it just needs a rudder.
Yes, it does. It needs to know where it's going.
It needs a rudder.
Because
it doesn't need an overhaul.
The last thing we need is another reboot. We've had DC has so many reboots.
A Superman reboot is in the wings.
Which I love Cavill. I think he was a great Superman.
I did too.
It's not his fault that people are up in arms because the whole killing Zod kind of deal. It's I don't know.
And now we've got we were all hopeful for kind of a cinematic Flash universe.
Yeah, exactly.
But
somebody got arrested. Somebody got in trouble, didn't
it? Miller. I'm not sure Miller's gonna recover from this quickly.
I don't know. I'm not for sure. It's we'll see. we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's in course too. A lot of it's going now HBO Max, of course,
Yep.
and then Discovery being together. A lot of people wondering if that is going to jack up the rates.
Is it going to jack up the rates, or are they going to continue to have, because Discovery Plus is a thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Or are they going to be like Disney Plus and Hulu? We're going to keep Discovery Plus and keep HBO Max and keep them separated.
Or they can do they can do a thing like what Disney Plus does, where you can buy the package of Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN.
And whatever else they can come up with. I'm sure Warner Brothers owns something else that they could spin off into a third, streaming service and make money on.
No, exactly. So that's
it will follow the money.
I think so. It always does. So
it does.
So that's pretty much Nerdy Happenings a week. I know there's plenty of others, but we got a lot going on the show.
We do.
And I have a couple of stupid news, so let's go ahead and go there.
Sure. It's the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Well, in this case, it's kind of you got to be kidding. It's more like you goat to be kidding, because this is
really,
goat. Like, but no, apparently, a Virginia sheriff officer is thanking a goat for assisting deputies during a foot pursuit. Yes, right. Well, a fleeing suspect this month. The goat name is Gracie. It helped two deputies flush out a suspects they were chasing on February the 13th, according to the Henry County Sheriff's Office. He said sometimes help comes in all shapes and sizes, the sheriff office wrote on Facebook. Captain Scott Barker said Deputy David Parnell came across the suspect while investigating a domestic assault case in the area. And during the chase, Barker said the goat from the property adjoining from them joined the deputy, and both of them were chasing after the suspect. When Parnell and the goat reached the next line of the fence in the field, the goat continued through the fence in front of the deputy.
Not over the fence.
No, through the fence.
Through the fence.
Chased the man into the woods. As Parnell surveyed the situation, the goat and the deputy on the other side flushed the man out of the woods, and he was taken into custody. Barker said, according to the Martianville Bulletin, Barker said that the goat was returned to its owner after the incident was resolved. Authorities have yet to provide the name of the suspect.
That's awesome.
Now, this next one,
Goat Justice.
That
should be a new TV
Oh, it'd
show.
be like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yes, Goat Justice.
That's right. Bad boys, we're coming for you.
Oh, that was good. That was
Thank
good.
you. That was my goat. So this next one is really odd. I don't know how much it is stupid or really weird, but a company, the article title is "Company Settles Dog Leasing Allegation for More Than $9,000." Okay, I've never heard of dog leasing before, but in California, a California-based finance company has agreed to pay more than $900,000 to settle allegations that it was illegally leasing dogs in Massachusetts, the state attorney general said. As part of the agreement entered in the Suffolk Superior Court on Wednesday, it's called Monterey Financial Services, LLC, will stop collecting on active leases, cancel about $700,000 in outstanding consumer debt on leases. And
Wait. $700,000 worth of rent to own dogs.
Yes, exactly.
How much is one dog?
I'm thinking to myself, I've never heard of such a thing before. I've never heard of leasing a dog before.
Well, at the end of your lease, do you have a balloon payment like a car?
That's a good question.
Do you buy it for $1 at the end of the lease? Do you?
Yeah. They said
Does it improve your credit rating when you lease a dog?
I don't know. I mean, you come on.
Do they repossess your dog if you don't pay?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see him getting towed away like that. How do you tow a dog?
I have so many questions.
I do too. I read over this and I thought, okay, this has to be stupid news. But I didn't know that.
I love this, but I have so many questions.
And how can you, and not only that, there's actually books in Massachusetts say you can't do this. Okay. Which.
So it's done enough that they passed a law
exactly.
that said you can't do
this. Never heard of this before. They say
so confused.
Leasing dogs is illegal in Massachusetts, apparently, and can often be an expensive way to own a pet because of high finances charges, according to the Attorney General. Authorities had alleged that the Oceanside, California firm violated Massachusetts consumer protection laws by purchasing and collecting on leases for dogs and engaged in illegal practices to collect outstanding balances on those leases. The Monterey Financial Service in the statement Thursday said it stood by its record, high levels of performance for our credits for our clients, low consumer complaint ratio, and deep-rooted dedication to customer support. I guess not for Rover. While we while we disagree with the state's findings, we have elected to come to an agreement to move away from this issue to best serve our client. Now, it says later in the article, leasing a dog is much like leasing a car, the Attorney General said. The consumer must make monthly payments for the duration of the lease, plus an additional payment at the end of the lease to ultimately own the dog. So you actually rent to own.
Yep. That is crazy. Why would you do that?
I don't understand
How
it.
much would your dog have to be for you? I mean, my daughter got a dog.
Yeah.
At a place that charged. I mean,
Yeah.
some places you can get a dog for free.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
She got a dog from a place that charged, and with shots and everything, she only spent $150.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't encourage her to take a $10 a month lease on that.
Well, how do you lease a dog? And again, I mean, what's the repo man supposed to look like? You know what I'm saying?
It's got a net.
I guess so.
In
the middle of the night, you hear your dog barking and it's gone. I mean, you know,
they have to be stupid expensive dogs.
That has to be, but
it has
it
to
doesn't.
be thousands and thousands of dollars worth of dog.
Yeah, they said families of Massachusetts looking to get a dog should not be trapped in leasing agreements that are harmful, expensive, and illegal, the Attorney General said. The Attorney General's office learned that Monterey Dogs leasing practice while it was investigating another financial company, Nevada-based Financial, which agreed to waive more than $126,000 in consumer debt. I guess there's another company doing the same thing. I have never heard of such a thing in my life. I mean, are these show dogs? But it doesn't mention anything about that in this article. It just says dogs.
What kind of dog?
Yeah. They
have to be like crazy expensive pedigreed dogs.
It makes no sense to me.
Like the kind of dog you get insurance on.
You would think so. But yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. But that's pretty much the end of stupid news right there, my friend.
This has been the Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling. That may be my favorite, my new favorite stupid news story.
Yeah, it was odd, but yeah. Well, the title is "Rewind the Sky." That's the title of this week's Moon Knight, and definitely know why. Do you want to?
Yes.
Do you want to?
That title is a little on the nose.
It is. Do you want to head our warning?
Oh yes, let's do that.
Let's do that.
Here we go.
Yes, folks, that means that we will probably give you some spoilers. So if you haven't seen Moon Knight, we apologize. up front, but
Yes.
that's how we roll here at the Speaking Nerdy
Yeah.
podcast.
And this will be Moon Knight episode 3.
Episode 3. This has this has been a really fun ride.
Yes.
It really has been. And it's been really packed full of stuff. And, of course, we leave off in Cairo, from the last
Yes.
scene. And it starts off with Layla getting a Forge document. And it was interesting in the particular scene is that where Layla and this older woman who was actually forging, the older woman that was actually
Yes.
creating these documents, apparently almost seems like she knew her father.
Yeah.
Did
I wasn't
get
quite
that.
sure I followed all of that.
She, it was almost to the point where I guess it seemed like a friend of the family. I mean, the assumption of that her father, no longer is there, that she
Yeah.
somehow, the older lady says, don't go and dig up your past, basically.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting and kind of a somewhat of an Indiana Jones type of statement, but not quite. She was saying, so what do you do with these artifacts? She says, well, I return it to the rightful owners, but keep a few for paying the bills. So
I loved that. It's like,
yeah,
I'm altruistic,
exactly,
but not always.
exactly.
I did like that.
I thought it was pretty good. Through this, it was interesting because we talked about it last week, how Stephen and Mark are going to, they're almost like the odd couple,
Yes.
and it's almost like Stephen has become the conscience of Mark. A little bit. Are you thinking a little otherwise, or just? I mean, Mark has some conscience there, but there's several times in the situation where Mark was going to take out somebody, and you can.
Well, I mean, we do have the conscious
Exactly.
part,
conscience, yeah,
where he's like, "Don't do it, Mark. Don't do it." But then, so we've got something else weird going on though.
yes, I know.
Because
We got
twice or 3 times,
3 times.
Mark woke
Yes,
up,
Mark woke
not
up.
remembering what happened,
The tables
and-
turned.
and being somewhat appalled at what he had done,
Exactly. Well,
blaming it on Stephen.
and Stephen
And
had no
Stephen
clue.
says, "I didn't do this.
Exactly.
I thought you did this."
It was like there's a
So there's a third.
third. Yeah.
So are we getting another persona
Yeah.
for Moon Knight?
Yeah.
Now there are 3 different personas in the comics. In the comics we have we've got Mark Spector.
yes.
Then we've got Stephen. Oh, come on. My brain is Stephen Grant.
Stephen Grant. Yes, sir.
And then there's a third.
And I can't remember the third person.
I
but
can't
but I
either,
remember in
but-
the comics there was multiple, more than just 2. But I can't remember who that might be.
Yeah, so I'm not. But even at that,
Yeah.
this doesn't quite make sense to me. Because this is a more brutal person.
Well, yeah, more so than Mark, who
Right. Which in the comics, there really wasn't a
Yeah.
more brutal person. Mark was kind of the brutal one because
he
he
was
was the mercenary.
exactly. At first, I thought, "What is this? Is this can't be Concho doing this?" But he can't. That's his avatar. I mean, I guess he can. He speaks through them when he later on when he
Yeah.
speaks through Mark in a situation that we'll be talking about in a little bit. But
That would definitely be a new feature they haven't
Yeah.
spoken of.
so
Because they haven't alluded to Khonshu being able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you think if he could, he would have done it already. You think he would have?
Well, and so this brings me to another question. All the way back to episode 1,
Yeah.
there's a story that says, they say Mark did this horrible, horrible thing,
Yes, exactly.
killed all these people, but Mark says, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So does that mean this? Because
Third
I've
part-
always been thinking
Yeah.
there was a third party
Yes.
that did it, like because
Well-
we do have some characters that revolve around Moon Knight that
Yeah.
probably aren't going to be in this show, but that could have done that and blamed Mark for it.
Well, and we talked about even in the comics, it goes back that in the comic book, Mark sees what's happening with his fellow mercenaries and he turns against his team. Now, this is the
He
comic
turns against
book.
them, but he doesn't kill them.
Doesn't kill them, no.
But then Bushmaster
Yeah.
does and
So-
kills Mark at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
So I was thinking that's where we were going to go with
I
that
thought so too.
line of thinking. But now I'm wondering, is it this third
Is this-
personality?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Mark's got a homicidal maniac inside him.
Well, and this goes a little bit later when Arthur shows up on the scene and he throws a little fuel on the fire, of course, when they are looking for the esophagus later on. You know.
Sarcophagus?
Did I snuffinufficus? What did I say?
You said esophagus.
Oh, my esophagus. Oh my goodness. That's
Sarcophagus?
sarcophagus. Yeah, sarcophagus. Yeah. So yeah.
When they're looking for that.
Thank you for bringing that up. Wow. A medical term there. But yeah, so, I guess, I'm kind of like you. There seems to be a third person in the body of Stephen and Mark. So I'm kind of interested in that. A funny scene. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay, so we've got 3 people.
Yeah.
Do we have 3 Moon Knightses? Because we've got Mark Spector Moon Knight.
Exactly.
We've got Stephen Mr.
Mr.
Knight.
Knight.
Now, do we have a third Moon Knight
Yeah, which is
that is super brutal and
which I don't
you know.
remember in the comic books having a third.
there is a
hero.
third person because you've got you
Yeah.
have the millionaire, you've got the cabbie, and then you've got
Okay.
the
Yeah, okay.
mercenary. So there's the 3 people.
But I'm talking about as far as creating another knight character.
Right. Yes,
that's
I
what
agree.
I'm
There's
referring
not
to,
a third
yeah.
Moon
That's-
Knight character.
Yes, exactly.
But the way they're playing it here, Moon Knight isn't really a third personality.
No.
Moon Knight is Mark Spector with a special suit that gives him abilities.
Yes, exactly.
And Mr. Knight is Stephen Grant
Yes.
in a suit that gives him special abilities.
Exactly.
Because in the comics, it's less. It feels more like when he's Moon Knight, he is a different person.
Yes, exactly.
But here, it doesn't feel like that.
No, Mark seems like he's Mark Spector, Moon Knight. It's almost like
Which is like this, where he takes off the mask and he's still strong, he's still Moon Knight, but he is definitely just Mark Spector.
It's the thing is, of course, I know I was kidding earlier about the Dark Knight, but it's the same as like Bruce Wayne being Batman. Batman is Bruce Wayne, and so it's kind of like Moon Knight is Mark is Moon Knight now.
Yeah.
And so where Moon Knight is not its own personality,
Right.
a third or fourth person. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I thought initially I thought Moon Knight was almost a tertiary personality, and that's not what at this point I don't.
at this
feel
point, no, I don't think so either. It's yeah. So I think it's interesting how going back and forth. There was a scene where they were, I guess, well, I'm going. They're looking in the black market. Let's back up a little bit because I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. We kind of want to, situation awry where they know Arthur, Arthur is out there. He's looking for a Met, and Khonshu signals an audience with the gods.
Yes.
And that's interesting to me. And what I thought was interesting is that it's the avatars, the other avatars, which I didn't realize. They had other avatars that represented each god. And these Egyptian gods were the ones that was referenced in the very first, where, remember the scene with the photo, with the painting? And I couldn't, Horus, Osiris,
I can't remember
Isis,
all of them.
Yeah, anyway. But Hathor, the lady avatar, who represents, I guess it's, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's Hathor, which is,
I believe so.
Yes, Hathor is Khonshu's ex, which
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of a funny meeting, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like, okay, we all know Ammit says that she was thrown, she was banished, but it seems like Khonshu also is in the outs with the gods as well.
Yes.
Yes, and of course, he's like one step away from, having being on a mantle in his own little statue, which happens. But I find it interesting. It's and in this scene, Arthur shows up, and of course, Khonshu is making a case within Mark, to this council that Arthur is bad. He's trying to bring back Ammit and Ammit, and this is going to cause a great destruction of the world. It's going to cause calamity, and also Khonshu is also very resentment towards the council because he feels like they're not involved enough in helping humanity.
This is almost a running gag in
Eternals,
in Marvel.
Yeah,
exactly. It's almost a running gag of gods that aren't involved.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. It's almost like Marvel doesn't need the Watcher because we got plenty of gods standing around watching stuff happen.
Exactly.
And not doing diddly about
thing. Man.
Yeah, so I thought exactly the same thing. I was like, oh, so we have another pantheon of gods sitting around on their rears, not actually saving the world.
Exactly.
And Khonshu being super mad about it.
Yeah.
So I did think this was interesting. Throughout this scene and then the very last scene.
Yeah.
Confirmed something for me that I was questioning. Arthur was telling Stephen that he used to be Khonshu's avatar.
Yes.
And I questioned whether that was true or not. I questioned, is he lying to gain Stephen's trust?
Exactly.
And this episode, I think, confirms he is not lying about that.
No, he's not lying about it.
Now, he may not be totally upfront about why they separated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But definitely he actually was the avatar for Khonshu at some point. So so I thought that was kind of interesting that this is definitely a thing, and so he has been the Moon Knight.
Yeah.
In the past.
And it's of course, and Arthur, Harrow, I'll call him Harrow. Harrow, does a great job putting a bad light on Khonshu. And of course, Khonshu is like this, this old, this mad old man going,
get off my lawn.
Get off. Yeah. Which is, he's not making his point. He actually is making Harrow's point more. And then Harrow turns to Mark and says his servant is unwell. And he even asks Mark, he said, are you unwell? And Mark says yes to his question. With that, I thought that was interesting. It's almost like Mark there's this thing that's going on with Mark is I understand what I'm doing. We need to stop him. At the same time, I don't want to be with this God that I'm having to be an avatar for. There's almost a struggle between,
Yes.
You can tell, no, I'm not well. And I wish I wasn't involved in this or in debt for this, but it was really interesting. What do you think about that scene? Did you grab anything out of that? Because it really spoke to me.
So there's so many things there. There is, I'm not well, meaning I definitely have some DID issues.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not well because I don't want to be in this position.
Exactly.
I don't want to remain Khonshu's avatar, but I can't not be Khonshu's avatar because our alternative is something I can't live with.
Exactly.
He's in such a hard place.
Yes, exactly.
And then Khonshu is, right or wrong, he's a bit of a jerk.
Oh yeah, he's definitely a jerk.
So
Yeah.
it is the quintessential. Yes, you're right, but you're such a jerk about it. Nobody's going to listen to you.
Well, I think as they basically they tell Khonshu to leave the temple and leave Haru alone, and it's pretty much Haru had the upper hand in that situation. But what I think interesting, up to this point, Khonshu has called him Stephen the idiot, the parasite, and everything else, but it came to the point where he needed him.
Are you talking about with the sarcophagus?
Yes. Well, I'm also talking about that am I getting ahead of myself? But
at the end. Well,
getting ahead of
okay, so
myself,
I like that. I like that part.
I do too.
And I think it is pretty fascinating that we are getting to a point where Mark realized
he needs Stephen.
Which
Stephen
it's turning the tables.
Yes.
Because this whole time it was Stephen needed Mark.
Yes, exactly.
And in the last episode, there were a couple of times where Mark needed Stephen, but he didn't really relent. Stephen kind of pushed.
Yes.
And now we have Mark needing Stephen and coming to that realization.
Well,
so my hope is at the end of this show that we have a Stephen Mark dichotomy where they are fluid enough that they can flow between the two of them when it makes sense and when it's appropriate.
And that's exactly, and I had that feeling in the last episode that where's my suit? We did a little thing here.
Where's my super suit?
Of course, Hathor basically says, she tells him to go to the followers' sarcophagus, which was stolen and sold on the black market by Anton Mogart. Now, I did not know Mogart is, they say, an important figure in the comic books as being the alter ego of Midnight Man. I'm not familiar with Midnight Man.
Okay.
A Marvel Comics.
I'm a bit familiar, but not real well.
But there was a point in that where he saw Layla, and one of the Mogart's goons says to Layla, after after Morapur, I'm sure you'll have a lot to talk about. After Morapur, which is the mythical country and central to the several Marvel stories like Falcon and Winter Soldiers and
yes, and
X-Men
that is
and Zemo.
Wolverine is highly tied in with that place as well. Yeah, so that was a nice little Easter egg. I don't know if we're ever gonna.
You don't think anything is going to come out of that?
I don't know if we'll ever really see anything there, but it could be. But I don't.
Is it more of a nod? You think more of a kind of?
I
nod
think it's
to
more of just a nod.
More of fan
maybe
play,
if we
or
go, maybe if we go hardcore X-Men at some point, we'll really make it a place to be involved in a story, in a big story.
Yeah.
Like it's the story. But at this point, I think it's just nodding, hinting.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to do this story
Mm-hmm.
about this place, and they're just not ready for it.
I like the fight scene. Of course, it's on the camp. Where this you're gonna have to help me.
Sarcophagus.
Sarcophagus. I can't. Anyway, that's being raised by Germans. Anyway, but anyhow, I like the situation in the fight scene where Mr. Knight comes out and play. But quickly in the battle, he says, "Take back your body. Take back the body, Mark."
Yes,
because it was
he
a little.
realizes he's not built for this.
But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. That was funny. But Layla asked him, of course, I guess Haro made a comment that we were referring to before, where Layla is asking Mark about what Haro was talking about when he said that she had the right to know, and Mark played dumb,
Yes.
and that had to do, I think, my question was, did Mark have something to do with, Kayla's father's death? But
That's
as
where
that's
I
where
think we're going to go
yeah.
there at some point. Whether the question is, was he involved in his death?
Yeah.
Or does he just know the truth about his death, but can't tell her?
Or is it
Is
because
this-
or is that the third person that might be there who actually killed, even though, and so here is Mark,
Could the third person have done it? Yes.
which he differs between that I kill her father or this third being inside of me did it. That he wrestles with that guilt, even though he may have not done it, he wasn't strong enough to stop it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is highly possible.
Yeah.
I think that is. I'm not sold on that one, but I think it's possible.
So what do you think?
So what about? I'm gonna throw out. This is
go ahead.
This is sure to go wrong. So now we know that the Moon Knight mantle can be passed from person to person.
Yes.
Arthur Harrow has been it.
Yes.
Khonshu apparently wants Layla to be it for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Mark is currently it. What if, Layla is, he wants Layla to be it.
Yeah.
What if Layla's father was the previous avatar?
Interesting.
And Mark took on the mantle so that from the father, by the father's request, so that Layla wouldn't take it.
Wouldn't have to take it. I wonder how young Layla was, because they talk about in the very beginning with the young woman, who's saying that, those digs are not a great place for a young woman or for a young girl, referring to Layla being a little girl and with her father going to these places, looking, going to these dig sites, looking for artifacts. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how all that. I don't know how all that's going to pan out. That's just my theory. Sure to go wrong. It's that that between Arthur and Mark there was Layla's dad.
Yeah. Well, I think coming back out, we were talking about how in this episode, Mark really needed Stephen, because Stephen has all the, in the situation where they had the map, only Stephen was able to put it together because of all his, knowledge of Egyptian culture and the gods.
Yes.
And so, and even Layla says, you need to have you need to have Steve take the body.
Yep.
And Mark was kind of reluctant, but
he's like, I'm not going to do it.
And he says, are you going to give me the body back? And there was a little conversation where he wasn't for sure, but anyway, Stephen became, it's so hard to know who, Stephen became Mark became Stephen. It almost gets really just jumbled there, but anyhow, one of my favorite scenes is, of course, this is called the Rewind the Sky.
Yes.
And for the first time, Khonshu meets Stephen. who
Yes.
is Mr. Knight. And I thought that was so interesting. Up to this point, he was the idiot. He was the parasite. You know, if there was any wiggly worm type of definition, that's what Stephen was. But
Yes.
he needed Stephen's help to rewind the sky to the actual location of what the map was 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, I loved that. It shows such a growth in the character of
Yeah,
okay, now Mark has accepted that he needs Stephen.
even Conchu
Now Khonshu has to accept
Exactly.
that Stephen is a necessary, whether he accepts it as just a necessary
Yeah.
evil or not. He is necessary in some way.
Well, Moon Knight needs to be Moon Knight needs to be more than just bronze, but he also needs to be brains.
Yes.
And Mark is far from not being, not far from being stupid, but there's some very intellectual things, some very higher IQ that comes with Stephen, especially with
Yep.
his knowledge of Egyptian history. So
Yes.
I really liked this scene. Of course, by doing this, Khonshu knows that by doing this, it's going to have a domino effect of things that happen next. He knows that he's going to
Yes.
end up, that the council is going to summon him back and imprison him in a statue.
Yes.
And they all tell Haro, you were right the whole time. Khonshu was the evil one. But in this process, as this happens, Mark and Stephen, they lose the power. I mean, they just kind of fall to the ground. Or Mark, I guess in that scene, it was Mark.
And that is something that's alluded to earlier in the
I mean,
show.
that's what it
He
seems.
said, if we do this, just think about it. How are you going to be able to survive without
Yes,
my
exactly.
armor, basically?
Yeah, exactly. And so, but he said but before, in the process is happening, he actually, he told Stephen to tell Mark to find me.
Yes.
And so that was his last words to Stephen. And here you go. And of course, the very last thing we see is Haro talking to Khonshu while holding his imprisoned statue, in his hand. And
Yeah.
this is the scene you were talking about. That kind of this
There's nobody else
solid.
he's telling.
Yeah, it's
It definitely solidifies that he
Yeah.
actually was Khonshu's avatar.
Yeah.
There's nobody else to hear this conversation
exactly.
between him and Khonshu. There's no reason to spout about this.
exactly.
That you made me who I am.
Yes. I want you to remember one thing. Your torment forced me. I owe my victory to you. And,
Yes.
And that was,
Yeah. You forged me.
yes.
This is the epitome of the good guy made the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
This is that trope,
Yeah.
which is funny. That is totally a Batman
Yeah.
trope.
Exactly.
Interesting. Go figure. But that is the quintessential comic book trope of
Yeah, exactly.
the bad guy and the good guy are flip sides of the same coin. They made each other in some way, shape, or fashion. I think that's it's fitting. It was a perfect line.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense with this story. And it does, like I said, it does confirm that he actually was the avatar of Khonshu. He wasn't lying to Stephen about it.
No, he was not.
Which makes me think, just take this one step further. It makes me think we're never going to hear Haro lie.
Yeah.
I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I think we will never hear Haro truly lie during this show.
He may omit some truths.
He may omit truth,
Yes.
but the words he's actually going to say will be truth covered in saccharine, sweet,
Yeah. It's like, yeah, exactly.
some things that are covering it up so that you only pay attention to the part he wants you to pay attention to.
Exactly. Makes a prettier picture on his side of the of a story. Yes.
which is kind of the Khonshu.
Yeah.
You know, it was kind of earlier in the show when
Yeah.
we said, you know, they were having the conversation with the avatars of all the other Egyptian
Exactly.
gods.
Yes.
Haro never said anything that wasn't true,
That's true. Yeah.
but nobody believed Mark, who was also telling the truth.
Yes. That she was looking for a Met. A Met.
Yes.
Yes.
He is looking for a Met. He wants to set a Met free.
Exactly.
Haro never disputes that.
Yes. Exactly.
He simply ignores it.
Ignores it and turns the attention to Khonshu.
Yep.
Yeah.
Khonshu's avatar is unstable.
Oh yeah. Well, Mark
You
is
know.
like the whole time Khonshu is speaking through Mark angrily, and Mark going, "Okay, this is not helping." I mean, he's forcing him to speak within Mark, and it's like for me, it only proves what Haro is saying, you know, this whole time. But so coming up, of course, you know, it's coming, you know, next Wednesday, of course, you know, the next episode. You have any predictions or any thoughts that where this may, you know, where we've left off and where we might start off at?
Well, it's supposed to be 6 episodes.
Yes.
So this was halfway.
Yeah.
I expect we will only have Mark, Steven, and the third persona.
I think we'll learn
In
more
this
about.
coming-
I think we're going to learn more about the third persona.
I think we will. I don't see him getting the power back this next episode.
Probably not.
I could be wrong, but I don't think we'll see Moon Knight unless it's at like the last moment
Yeah.
of the episode. That feels more like a 5th episode
Yeah.
happening. Get the power back in the 5th episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually be able to save the day
Yeah.
in the 4th episode or the 6th
Yeah.
episode. I think we're going to find a Met's tomb next
Met's
episode.
tomb, I
That
think
is
so.
my
Yeah.
that
yeah.
is my prediction, that we
Prediction.
finally find the tomb. I don't know if we'll bring a Met back.
Yeah.
If we do, it'll be super late in the
Yes.
episode.
Yes. My prediction, and I've been thinking about it, my prediction that the Mandalorian will return and he will show up in the very beginning, and you'll not see Mark or Steven, because mainly it'll be the Mandalorian.
This is going to be this will
Yes.
be a backdoor pilot
backdoor
for
pilot
season
for
3
the season 3 of the Mandalorian. Yes,
of
exactly.
the Mandalorian.
Anyway, why not? You've seen it before.
Daredevil's going to show up.
Daredevil's going to show up back.
It's going to be a backdoor
That's funny.
backdoor pilot for Daredevil.
Daredevil. That's
Which
funny.
I think that would be fun to have later on,
Yes.
to have some kind of Defenders, East Coast Avengers kind
East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, it'd have to be East Coast because
Yeah.
Daredevil's East Coast, but rather than West Coast. But some kind of, because actually that makes sense, because Avengers have they mostly been on the West Coast? No, maybe they've been on the East Coast. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I think it would be fun
Yeah.
if we had a Daredevil, Mark Spector,
Yeah.
Moon Knight. You know, get all these brutal beat 'em up superheroes
Yeah.
on a team
That would be awesome.
where they're all just they're all screwed up and messed
Yeah.
up.
And
'Cause we
Steven
know
the whole
Daredevil-
time's going, guys, let's all talk about this, guys. Let's sit down.
Exactly.
Let's have some tea, and maybe we can talk about this. But anyhow,
Because I mean, Daredevil's got
Yeah.
his own demons
yeah,
that
exactly.
he's dealing with.
Yeah, yes.
Pun intended.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm trying to think of who else we could throw in there.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Bucky isn't really the right guy, but
No.
he could be. He's definitely messed up. He could throw in with that
Yeah.
crew.
Well, the Punisher is kind of a loner. I don't know if he would actually be part of that group unless he,
That would be
interesting.
He would fit
he would
very well
fit.
with the mercenary.
he would fit. Yes.
Yes. So yeah,
would be
that
fun.
could be fun. That
Yeah.
could be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that
No.
happen, but it could be good. That is not a prediction. That was
No,
just
that was just for fun,
that's just
for
for
our
fun.
amusement and entertainment, basically. If we had a wish list for Marvel, that's what we would like to
Yes.
see. So
I want to see Punisher and Moon Knight
that's
in
right.
the same show.
That would be awesome. And
would
Steven,
be.
and then Steven in the background going, no, no, no,
In the mirror.
in the mirror, no.
Steven in the mirror.
Oh, well, man, that's all I have. I mean, this has been, I've had fun. This has been a good time.
Yep.
I think next week like you said, we're going to learn a little bit more, hopefully, about the third persona, if there is one.
Yep.
Folks, thank you for watching. Keep in mind we do an audio podcast released this coming Tuesday.
Yes.
You can find all of that at speakingnerdy.com. Speakingnerdy.com. You will find our audio podcast, our video podcast. We'll have our store. You can visit our store on Speaking Nerdy as well.
Speaking of, we have just launched our store.
That's right. So
We've got some great T-shirts and mugs and,
Mugs and-
what else do we have?
have a few stickers, and we have
Stickers.
some iPhone cases and
You can get a shirt with Mike's face on it.
Why wouldn't you want that?
Everyone should have a shirt
they
with Mike's
should.
face.
Yeah, I mean, I almost did they have a thong that I could have put my face on, but there's no place to put the face on it. And the last thing I want, so
No, just stop. Just stop. Oh my gosh.
maybe that's where we can end it. I don't know.
I think we should end it right there.
Okay, let's do that.
This has been the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. But yeah, I mean, think about it. You couldn't see my face, and it'd
I
be
am
dark,
not-
and
I
be
am
smelly.
not going to be able to get that picture out of my head. Thanks
mean,
very much.